Episode number 25 in Creative Love Radio. We have a great show for you today. If you ever wondered, I have this feeling or this sense that I should go on this date or shouldn't date this person, or you have that feeling where you're connected beyond the five senses, and when you meet, it's almost as if you know that person, we're going to talk about clairvoyance in love. And before we start the show, I just wanted to remind you, if you're attracting the wrong type of person, if you feel that you're not really getting the right match for you and wonder what's going on in your mind, I really encourage you to take our Love Attraction Test. It's a free download. It's loveattractiontest.com. You can download it, go to that website, download it, and get a free coaching session with one of our coaches to help you get more clarity on your love life. And so hope you take advantage of that and stay tuned for a great show. Welcome to Creative Love Radio with Debbie and Dr. Rob. We are redefining relationships to guide you to greater love, more success, and living your purpose through the latest research in neuroscience, Jungian psychology, and Eastern wisdom. Get ready for another inspirational episode of Creative Love Radio.
Well, here we are.
Here we are.
And this is a great topic. It's kind of out on left field, but we're going to bring it to the center.
Yes.
Because it's an important thing that not a lot of people talk about in a serious way. So we wanted to have a conversation about clairvoyance. Now, for those of you not familiar with clairvoyance, it's part of this whole idea of psychic phenomena or abilities that we have as human beings. Now, the research shows most people have had some kind of mystical psychic experience in their lives, either through clairvoyant dreams, that is, dreams that show them the future, lucid dreaming, some kind of intuitive sense that something's going to happen, or that they know something is happening to a loved one that's far away.
It's interesting. Like one of the common ones I hear a lot is, I was just thinking about this person and I got an email from them, or I'm thinking about this person, the phone rings.
That's a common one.
Very common.
All kinds of experiences. Also synchronistic events, like things that you feel like, that's strange. I mean, it's not typical, right? It's out of the realm of, let's say, ordinary life, but yet you experience it. It happens. So all those things, and most people, they just brush them away as well. It's a strange phenomena. We don't know what it is,
or it's chance, or they say, well, it's just random lucky guess, right?
But we want to look at it from the bigger perspective of, what does science have to say about it? What does Eastern philosophy have to say about it? And what does it mean for relationships, and particularly for love, dating, couples, because it's a fascinating topic.
So one of the ways to start off with this, I think, is to understand the mind and the structure, so we understand where this clairvoyance is coming from. And so all of us, anyone who does personal development, has a feeling that their mind and their thoughts create their life in some way, that there's a deeper part of them than just the superficial self. So we do have an individual mind. We do have a separate mind I have a separate mind from Rob, and we don't think the same.
God,
so we do have individual minds, but beneath that individual mind, we are rooted all in the same consciousness. We are all connected, and you've probably heard that before, right? So Jung called that the collective unconscious. So we have this part of us that's connected to everything. And it's unconscious because we're really not aware of it. We live every day and we think, I can't pick up Rob's thoughts. I have to talk to him to communicate. And so we've basically been conditioned to really rely on our five senses, which is seeing, hearing, touch, taste, and feeling, to really make our way through the world. And so when we're babies, we really have this other sense, this sixth sense, that is very intuitive and awake and knowing, and basically gets conditioned away. And so it's almost like this beautiful, pure awareness that we have that's connected to everything becomes clouded by our conditioned mind, which some people call the conditioned awareness. So it's the way we've been kind of limited, the limited way we see the world. And we think, well, if I have to communicate with Rob, I need to either pick up the phone or go to the next room. I can't just think and send him mental pictures and have him pick up what I'm thinking. But in actuality, that's what we believe. But in actuality, we could do that. And we could connect and we could know things about other people through other ways than just the five senses. So that's really what we're talking about when we say clairvoyance. It's something that we're not relying on our five senses that we know, that the tangible life that we feel, that there's this other sense that's intangible.
And if we look at the history, certainly in the West, the assumption has been that we live in a material universe, and then we wonder, is communication outside that material universe possible? And so we're always looking for anomalies, for chance happenings, things that break the rule of physicality, that point to, okay, there is this extrasensory, extra physical, metaphysical universe happening somewhere else. In the East, it's been the opposite. For them, the fundamental reality is spiritual, and then they wonder, is this physical reality real?
What is this physical reality?
Yeah, does it even exist? So it's a reverse image, and it's an interesting dynamic that happens because now, in the Western physics, if you look at now what they're doing in quantum mechanics and those kind of things, they're getting to that same conclusion, wondering, is there any physical reality at all? Because everything seems to be made out of light, or these particles that come in and out of existence, and it's a very strange universe. Not at all the brick and mortar universe that we're used to thinking about as physicality. And so if we look at it from that perspective, now it makes sense that, yeah, we should be able to communicate with each other beyond our five senses, because we are connected. We are part of this one consciousness that pervades the universe.
So if we think that we're just the body, and that some people believe their soul or their spirit is basically encased and just limited to this physical body, like maybe a couple inches out. And I used to believe that when I first started doing spiritual work. I used to think, well, I have this soul in this physical body that's kind of hanging out here for now, but then it's going to go somewhere else. And then I'm going to be connected to something else. Or it's like trying to, people talk about the divine downloads and stuff. Like there's this other place, that we're not connected to, that it's going to connect with us, but we're always aware of it. It's just that it's like a veil covering us to perceive and know some of the things that we know. And so what typically happens though is that when these experiences happen where we have this knowing and then it turns out true, we typically try to rationalize it away versus thinking, wow, the world is a mystical place. It really is. So here's an example. Those of you, this is the topics on relationships. So how does this fit into relationships? So one story I always remember when I was younger and I was in Denver, my boss told me that she was I asked her how she met her husband, and she said she was at dinner in a restaurant, and her and her boss were having dinner, and this man walked in, and the man looked at her, and she looked at him, and she was like, hello, and he was like, hello, with their eyes, but nothing, they couldn't really talk to each other. She was on a business meeting, and he was actually on a business dinner with his boss. So it wasn't really appropriate for him to walk over and say, how you doing? Can I have your number? So later on, a couple days later, she went, it was a Saturday, she went on her little mountain bike ride. And in Denver, there are dozens and dozens, maybe hundreds of trails you can go. And Denver's very active, very outdoorsy. So she's riding up the trail and she's going up the hill. And this bike was coming down the hill on the same trail. So she pulled over to let the bike go through, and it was him. Now, how did 3 days later he show up at the same trail at the same time? I mean, it was like you could say it's random, or is there a part of them connected that brought them together? And now, and really, truly, he was the love of her life. I worked there when I was 30, so I'm 50 now. So it's almost 20. I'm sure they've been married over 20 years. I know they're still married and have a kid, and they're happy, and they're perfect for each other. And they really were like so perfect for each other. And it's like, how did that happen? And we all want to believe that, though. We all want to believe that this someone is connected to us already, and that we just have to find a way to find each other. And my guess is that she probably had been connected to him before that restaurant, and it was just, they kept pulling them together until they finally met. You know, the circumstances allowed them to communicate. So when you go online and you're thinking there's no one out there, maybe you're just not perceiving it, or you're not picking the person because you're not connected to that intuitive clairvoyant self that knows who's really right for you on a higher level. You're not picking with your ego. And I think most people, what they do is they're dating with their ego, and they're looking for someone to fit into their material life, their five senses life. And then there's a deeper connection that we have on a soulful level that we can really connect with.
Yeah. That's a good clue as to when is it that we are in tune with this deeper mind in us, or this deeper consciousness, awareness that transcends our personal ego mind. It is when we're not attached to things, right? When we're not focused on getting things in a certain way. That is when we overdefine reality and what's possible, we're limiting ourselves. When we open it up and we practice an open awareness, like those of you that practice yoga or meditation, it's about connecting to that pure awareness in us, that pure possibility. It's always open. It's not defining things as much. It's leaving it
like creatively, like imagination, and without edges.
Leaving some room for imagination, for possibility, instead of shutting it down to this is the way it's got to be.
Can I just interject for a minute? You know, I think a lot of people, and I know I did this myself, I don't know about you, Rob, but when we think about intuition, we want to use it to find love or get the things we want in life. And when we're, like you said, attached, so a lot of people, they want to use their intuition to find love, but they're so attached to finding love and meeting that person that they really can't access that true intuition. And a lot of times they confuse intuition with instinct, or like their old patterns.
Right.
Like, oh, I feel this thing for this guy, and it's the same old pattern of the broken, the unavailable person, but they're so thinking that because I feel this way, my intuition's telling me, but it's not. When you're really attached, and you know that when you're hooked in and wanting and have an agenda with a person, you're not you're caught up in conditioning. You're not really that intuitive mind.
Yeah. So this mind, this collective unconscious, is always there. It's always around. But we're not reading it. It's very much like our dreams. If you don't pay attention to dreams, well, you just think, well, they're just there every night. And, sometimes I remember one and it's a weird thing. But if you pay attention and you learn to interpret the language of dreams, you understand that my mind is speaking to me and giving me all this information in my dreams. But I have to decipher it, and I have to understand that symbolic nature of the language. The same thing with our reality. We have to understand the symbolic nature of it. So when we start to pay attention to dreams, in other words, to our unconscious mind, to the collective unconscious, then we start tuning into that clairvoyance, that psychic ability, that higher realm of possibility that enters our lives. And it's a beautiful place to be. It is a type of energy that we feel in our body and our mind. It's a clarity, It's a feeling of purpose, that you know you're being guided in a sense, not in this mystical outer world way, but simply that's our true nature. Those are the gifts that we're given as human beings, this incredible mind, this incredible intellect, but we have to develop it and we have to use it. So the next question is, can we develop these?
Can we become more intuitive, right?
So that we could tune into love and possibility.
Well, here's what I think. I think that it's not that we have to develop our clairvoyance as much as we have to let go of our conditioned awareness. So the clairvoyance is already there. We're all incredibly psychic. We all have that ability already. So it's not something you need to develop. It's basically what you need to do is distinguish and let go of that conditioned mind so you can hear the clairvoyance. So it's a different way to think about it, because a lot of people build up your psychic abilities and do these practices. But what you really want to do is you want to let go of like you said, the attachment. And so what we do is we really make it fun. What we do is we let go of the agenda around what we want to use it for at first. And we're just basically, it's like someone who was born with the ability to play an instrument, and then they just get the instrument and they just learn that there's something that arises with them that helps them use it. The same thing with the mind. We've been given this instrument that there's a part of us that knows how to use it already. So it's like trusting in that. And I think what a lot of times is that our ego or a conscious mind, that thinking mind, gets in the way and it has an agenda that distorts that natural ability that we have. So what would you say would be a really good first step to?
Yeah, attachment is kind of an abstract term, and a lot of people use it, but they don't define it very well. I find that thinking about it as judgment is a little bit easier. Because if you observe your mind, we're always making judgments about what's good, what's bad, what I want, what I don't want. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a natural part of the mind. But if we learn to, let's say, to bypass or to supersede that, to rise above the judgment to a place where we're looking at the world through non-judgment. We're not making judgments about anything that we're observing. We're simply, it's that pure awareness, it's that naked awareness, as someone said, that you're just perceiving things as they are. No judgment overlaid onto it.
Almost as if it's the judgment comes with the ego, which is the personality that is attached to the things or has a relationship with the things of the world. Yeah. So you have a relationship with all the things that we've been exposed to in our life. We have a relationship with things we like, things we don't. So it's almost as if we have to become that non-judging observer, just to watch. And so a really great technique that you teach is that metaconsciousness, where you're just watching yourself think. So that would be a really great practice to start. We have all our clients start with that, which is you just sit with yourself and you're just watching yourself think without judgment. So just practicing that even 5 minutes a day will start to free up. You're going to notice how much your mind is labeling and judging things and attached to things. And when I think of clairvoyance as an art, like a creative function of us, or inside of us. And when we make it creative and playful without an agenda, like you said, it really is, it just naturally arises in us. So the practice of letting go of the judgment and then understanding, like really connecting with that part of our mind, that pure awareness, that's the witness, that's watching, and allowing that part of us to play. That really is. And so here's a great exercise. I always was intrigued by the idea of intuition, because I always felt like I had very intuitive, like I was connected. I always had dreams that told me what was going to happen or had a sense of things. So always fascinated with it. And so I wanted to basically develop or play with that type of part of my mind. So back in the corporate world, my boss used to wear golf shirts all the time. Every day he wore a different color. It was like solid colors. He had all different kinds. And so every morning I would just play with visualizing him in his office and what color he'd be wearing that day. So it was just like a simple little test. And the reason is that I had no attachment to what color he had. It wasn't, oh, he better wear red today. Or, it was more a playful, imaginative way of working with the mind. So that's where you start if you want to start gaining more access. You're not really developing, but you're gaining more access to your natural ability. And so as you play with it, and then another piece too is really, Rob, is trust, right? How do you trust that sense, that knowing?
Mm-hmm. It comes through knowledge. You have to study or learn from other people as much as possible about what is the nature of the mind. Mm-hmm. Then you have to practice it yourself, just like that, observing your mind. Now, you can observe your mind anytime. It doesn't have to be in a meditation practice. You can observe your mind at work, at play, at dates, anytime, and just kind of observe what are the judgments that I'm making or that my mind is making, because it's really the conditioned mind that's making it based on past experiences. When we learn to trust that pure awareness instead of the judgment, that's the key. Then we start to tune into that bigger mind in us, that wider space of possibility.
So I have one more topic before we end this show today, is this idea that if we're connected to everyone and we have this intuitive ability, are they reading our minds as well, the people we date? And are they connecting in with us and making decisions based on what they're picking up or they're sensing?
We know neurologically we're designed to tune into each other from the get-go. So if you observe a mom and her baby, they're tuning into each other continuously through body language, through eye contact, through feeling and touching, and their minds and their brains coordinate with each other to where it's like a dance that you're seeing, and it's incredibly complex. But because for us it's just like, well, that's the way it's supposed to be. We don't really think of it as miraculous or incredible, but that kind of interaction also happens in relationships. When two people fall in love, that's what's happening. They're tuning into each other in this incredibly complex way that connects them at all levels. So it's not only the physicality of it, but it's the mental processing and the spiritual awareness of each other. And it's all connecting and it's all firing at the same time. And that's why it's such an incredible experience. Most people, when they fall in love, they say, wow, I just found something new and that I had never felt before.
So I also think that even if it's not the one, even if we are connecting with someone who's our pattern, there still is this deeper that we can't see communication going on between two people, because I hear this all the time, is that people, they have a sense when that person is pulling away, or they have a sense that, I could sense when someone is coming on too strong. Like when I was dating and someone was real, like they wouldn't even call me so much, but I just had a feeling, like I could feel them like through the ethers pulling at me. We feel that pulling. And so we do sense those things from each other. Even if they act cool and act that they don't care, you could feel them pulling. Like it's almost like we've all had those experiences where the person is presenting something to us, but we know they're BSing us. We really know that there's something, I don't care, but we could feel them playing the little games. So that is another way I think that we have to remember, is that this other community, if we don't develop that understanding of who we are on a deep level, we're not fooling anyone with our dating tips and our dating, idea that, oh, if I play hard to get, or if I act a certain way, or if I write something in a text, if it shows up, the right thing to say. I know some dating coaches, oh my God, they talk about scripts that you can read to when you're in a date, so you know how to communicate to someone. And it's like, it doesn't matter what you say. There's this unconscious communication that's going on constantly with each other. And so that is another level of clairvoyance that we aren't even conscious of.
Yeah, and when people are tuned into each other and they do have that powerful bond and connection, then the space-time doesn't matter. In other words, the person could be on the other side of the planet. You're still connected as if they were next to you. And you feel often what they're feeling, or you get a sense of what they're sensing, especially if you're not attached. That is, now, non-attachment doesn't mean that you're not caring, or you're not kind of bonded with them. It simply means that you're experiencing that love more as a giving experience instead of I want, or I need that, I need their attention, or I need their love. You're experiencing it more as it's an opportunity for me to share out of my own abundance of feeling and emotion. That really connects people at that deeper level.
And I think that how do we get that type of love? And I think it's not about the randomness of, it's not only just being clairvoyant, but it's also knowing who we are, that we're not identifying with our conditioned mind, our persona, our ego, that this person that we've been basically manufactured in this world, that there's this other deeper part of us that's our true self. And that if you connect with that part of yourself, that's what brings you to a really lasting, deep spiritual love that we talk about. And even if people that the communication is going on regardless, it's just that if you're aware of it. And that's really what we want to do, is have you become aware of who you really are. And that's why we do the work we do. It's not just about acting a certain way or healing the past. It's about you really understanding the power that you are, the amazing, limitless part of yourself. And when two people who believe that they're limitless come together, wow, what an impact can that make on the world?
Absolutely. Yes. So we teach some of these deeper dimensions of love in our retreats, and we go into the spiritual elements of not only love, but really our individuality. If you think about what we've been talking about, how do you develop these things? It's a natural process, because individuation, that is the process of becoming who we really are, as Jung says, is innate in us. It's our nature. It's what we're here to do. But we do need the tools. We need the guidance. We need like an initiation and a way to do it. Most people, they never take the time or find that path to walk. And it's a shame, because it leads to these higher dimensions of love, life, possibility. So join us for some of our programs where we help you get there. If you're interested in finding out more, especially love, we offer a free love attraction test, which really starts opening the door to what the conditioned mind, that conditioned awareness, is bringing in, the type of people you're physically attracted to. We start with that level. All you need to do is go to loveattractiontest.com, and you can download it and have a free session with one of our coaches, Teresa. She's amazing, and she'll take you through, ask you the questions, go through your results, and really guide you to what your next steps will be. And we're really excited about you becoming who you are meant to be and having the love that you are meant to have. And we all know that you have it inside of you. So we have a creative love community on Facebook. Join us if you have a chance. You can post dreams, questions, comments about what topics you want us to talk about.
And we'll see you on the next show. So everyone, send out the vibes for your true love, and maybe he'll be or she'll be picking them up.
See you soon.
Bye-bye. You've been listening to Creative Love Radio with Debbie and Dr. Rob. For more information, visit us on our website at creativelove.com.